to channel my inner Miz. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most talked about WWE podcast. Welcome to Undisputed Podcast, where me and my co-host Jeff go over two pay-per-views, or not two pay-per-views, two matches every pay-per-view, starting with 1997. We already reviewed Taker versus Vader from the 1997 Royal Rumble, and now we are going to review the 1997 Royal Rumble match itself, because that was my pick for this pay-per-view. So we want to get into it. This is going to be a little bit more lengthy than the last one because the Rumble match itself was over 50 minutes. As everybody who's ever seen a Royal Rumble match knows and is already expects. So basically, the start of this Rumble match starts with Crush and Ahmed Johnson. Probably the most lackluster start to a Royal Rumble lineup I've ever seen in my life. I don't know who would have been excited for that. I don't know who booked it, but usually one of the first two got to be somebody at least upper mid card to get the crowd kind of excited. I know Ahmed Johnson technically was, but Ahmed Johnson sucked. I mean, I don't know how anybody ever took him seriously. The guy was terrible. Definitely not somebody to get excited for. He had the charisma of a closet door. So Crush jumps all over Ahmed from the start. Not a lot happens here. Just your typical punching and all that kind of stuff. Like, no big moves, no nothing. Number 3 comes out, and they got fake Razor Ramon, because if you don't know, at this time, Razor Ramon and Diesel had left the company to WCW, and for some reason they thought it was a good idea to have a fake Razor Ramon and fake Diesel and pretend like they were the real Razor and real Diesel. Is terrible. So he comes in. There's no music right now because they're having technical difficulties. There's no countdown, so he just randomly runs out. He lasts about 15 to 20 seconds, and Ahmed quickly eliminates Razor, but then Ahmed jumps over the top rope because he sees Ron Simmons, and he runs up the ramp to go get Ron Simmons, who he's having a feud with right now, leader of the Nation of Domination. Like he couldn't have gone through the ropes and chased after Ron Simmons and then been able to come back. But no, he's got to jump over the top rope because that makes sense somehow. And then goes and chases Ron Simmons down. So he eliminates himself, leaving just Crush left in the ring. Number 4 winds up being Phineas Godwin. Literally nothing happens. It's just him and Crush. And then 5 hits, the glass breaks. Stone Cold Steve Austin comes in at number 5. Godwin ends up eliminating Crush as Austin is getting in. And then Austin ends up stunning Godwin and then eliminating Godwin. So Stone Cold starts things off with a bang. And then number 6 winds up being Bart Gunn. Yeah, not the good gun. Bart Gunn. Then Austin eliminates Gunn right away and then starts doing push-ups while he's alone in the ring. And then you get the famous spot that everybody's seen a million times where Austin sits on top of the turnbuckle and looks at his imaginary watch on his wrist while he's waiting for somebody else to come out, as he's the only one left in the ring. So the number 7 is Jake Roberts, and pure nostalgia purposes, that 90 seconds is pretty fun. Nothing actually really happens, so they just kind of punch each other. The crowd goes nuts. 8 comes out, and that winds up being the British Bulldog. During Bulldog's entrance, though, Austin eliminated Roberts, so no respect for Jake Roberts. They kind of just, here, fight with Austin for 100 seconds and then get dumped over the top. So, yeah. Bulldog has a nice, before number 9 comes up, Bulldog has a nice running power slam on Stone Cold Steve Austin. Bulldog was not going to get eliminated right away by Austin. He's a legit threat, probably one of the best to never win a world title. It was probably a shame. He probably should have won, but he didn't. Number 9 is Parat. I don't even know who that is, to be honest with you. And I've watched a lot of old wrestling. This dude tries to pin the Bulldog at one point during this 90 seconds before the next guy comes out. Yeah, he's terrible. And then number 10 is the Sultan, is, a lot of you guys know, Rikishi. Before he was Rikishi, he kind of wore like a mask on his face. He kind of looked like a member of Retribution. Um, pretty bad. He had like Aladdin pants on. It's just it's bad. But number 11 winds up being Mil Mascaras. Um, not a lot is going on right now. I mean, this is a really boring segment of the Rumble at this point, in my opinion. Nothing's happening. 12 winds up being Triple H. Before he was officially Triple H, he's Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He comes down. This is his second match tonight. He had fought Goldust earlier in the show. So he comes out. He should be a little tired. The British Bulldog ends up eliminating the Sultan, or Rikishi as you all know him, with a clothesline. And then Austin throws Triple H over, and he almost gets eliminated immediately, but he's able to hold on. And then 13 is the late, great Owen Hart. This guy is the greatest wrestler to ever hold the world title. And I don't know a lot of people would really dispute that. This guy was so good, especially for his time. He was way ahead of his time with his wrestling ability. He was the far superior Hart in wrestling skill. He could out-wrestle Bret Hart, any day of the week, in my opinion. But Owen and Austin fight immediately. As anybody who watched it back then knew that they had a rivalry going on. Actually, Owen Hart winds up being the one that breaks Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck with the pile driver. Everybody knows about that. And the Intercontinental title match at SummerSlam. So they immediately go at each other. Owen and Bulldog start working together on Austin. And then Owen eliminates the Bulldog, but Owen tries to make it seem like it was an accident and say he was trying to eliminate Austin. A replay shows that isn't true at all. He deliberately eliminated the Bulldog, as you see them start having issues and stuff in the future and leading up to this match. So, not shocking there. 14 is Goldust. Guy who's quite familiar in this match now, and he works for a rival company now. WWE doesn't like to bring up Goldust. So, obviously his second match too. He fought Triple H earlier on the show. So, we got two guys in there that have been into a war already. Then you get 15 is Cybernetico. And I literally wrote down who the fuck is that. I've never heard of this guy ever. Trash. 16 winds up being Mark Marrow with Sable. Cybernetico and Perrot were both eliminated by Mil Mascaras, and then he gets up on the top rope, jumps off on top of them, and then eliminates himself. So all three of those guys, the two nobodies and Mil Mascaras, who shouldn't have been in this match anyway, all get eliminated right then and there, really quickly. Bang, bang, bang. Done. So then Goldust would eliminate Triple H with a clothesline, and then right afterwards, Owen hits Austin with a brutal sounding enziguri. And I think I brutally butchered the spelling of that on my notes. Number 17 is the Latin Lover. You're gonna have to Google that one, guys. I did not Google it. I'm sorry. I don't know who he is. Don't really care. He's not a non-factor. Although he does have a nice super kick on Owen Hart before super kicks were overdone. Beautiful, actually. But that's it. Goldust throws Owen over, but Owen ends up skinning the cat and coming back in and tossing Goldust out. So Goldust is eliminated. Number 18, the leader of the Nation of Domination, Ron Simmons, or Farouk as he was called. He comes in and he immediately eliminates the Latin Lover with a back body drop. So he's eliminated. And then Simmons and Austin start brawling. And then you see Ahmed Johnson run out with a 2x4. And Ahmed starts whacking Simmons with a 2x4. And Simmons kind of goes over the top rope. So he's there. And then Austin eliminates both Mark Marrow and Owen Hart. So he's by himself again. Number 19 hits. Winds up being Savio Vega. A little bit of a small rant for me. I hate the way that WWE did Savio Vega because that dude had so much talent and they didn't utilize it like it should have been. And he's a what-if type of guy because he could have been great. And they kind of screwed the pooch. He had a nice spinning heel kick on Austin. And then Austin ends up clotheslining him out of the ring before 20 even comes out. Austin again, alone in the ring. Kind of the story of this 1997 Royal Rumble. Number 20 is the Road Dogg, but he was just Jesse James at that time, and he was kind of like he's called the Roadie at one point, and he's with Jeff Jarrett, so he just does a bunch of like little dancing, grooving. Austin throws him out pretty quickly, so not even much of a competition there. 21, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, Bret Hart. the star of the Hart family. Even though I do think his brother was better in the ring. Bret and Austin brawl, and it's a pretty vicious brawl. Again, not a lot of things that I can really talk about. It's just punching and kicking most of the time. But they're going at each other. And then 22 is Jerry Lawler, and he's been talking shit all night. He gets in there and he gets one punch, and he flies over the top rope, and he gets eliminated. I keep hearing something flying in here, but it's like the middle of winter, so I don't get it. So one punch, and Lawler flies over the top rope and goes immediately back to get commentary and pretends like he doesn't even remember being in the Royal Rumble. Weird. But, anyways, number 23 is Fake Diesel, which for anybody who doesn't know is actually Kane before he was Kane. So if you watch this match, when I post it with this, and you can see movement that looks like Kane, that's because it is Kane, dressed up like Diesel. Again, stupid idea, but they did it anyway. Nothing much happens here, except he actually stays in there with Austin and Hart for a while. 24 winds up being Terry Funk, and here's kind of where the Royal Rumble actually starts like filling the ring a little bit, because it hasn't yet so far, so then 25 is The Rock. When he was a Rocky Maivia, he's still a rookie. He comes in with like a ball of energy, and The Rock and Austin go at it. Major foreshadowing of the future of this company, going at it right now. Then 26 winds up being Mankind. He comes into the ring, and he almost eliminates Funk, but Funk holds on. And then 27 is another Flash Funk, and then Jim Ross kind of makes like a racial joke here, where he says, as you can see, Flash Funk and Terry Funk have no relation. Outdated joke, probably not very funny. I'm going to let it slide because it was 97, so that stuff wasn't kind of as frowned upon back then, and I think Jim Ross is one of the best ever, so I'm going to let that go. Austin ends up hitting a stunner on Bret Hart while Bret's got a sleeper in, but then moments later, Hart gets up and ends up hitting a nice-looking pile driver on Austin. 28 winds up being Vader. His second match tonight, as we already reviewed earlier, Vader beat The Undertaker earlier in the night. So, Vader comes in. Terry Funk almost eliminates Foley, but Foley holds on. It avoids elimination. Sorry, guys. 29 winds up being Henry Godwinn. Nothing special here. And then 30 winds up being The Undertaker. His second match tonight after losing to Vader earlier in the show. Taker goes after Vader immediately. They brawl for a while. Taker ends up chokeslamming Austin. Then he chokeslams Vader. And Vader ends up, shortly after that, Vader ends up throwing Flash Funk out. The Rock almost eliminates Bret Hart, but Bret Hart barely holds on. Undertaker ends up eliminating Godwinn, as I don't know how Godwinn even made it that far. Mankind eliminated The Rock by when The Rock jumped off the turnbuckle and he caught him with a mandible claw and then kind of over the top rope. Mankind ends up eliminating, right after that, he eliminates Terry Funk with a suplex to the outside, and then The Undertaker ends up capitalizing on that and eliminating Foley. So then Funk and Mankind start brawling out of the ring, and while that's happening, the refs are distracted, and Austin actually gets eliminated by Bret Hart, and this is a botch. This was never supposed to happen. Austin was supposed to hold on, and he completely botches it. He goes over the top rope, both feet hit the ground, he doesn't even come close to holding on, and so he slides back in, undetected by the refs because they're distracted by Foley, and Funk, and immediately goes over and dumps Vader and Taker over while Hart eliminates Kane, or Fake Diesel, on the other side, and Austin runs up from behind Hart and tosses Hart out there, and Stone Cold Steve Austin wins the 1997 Royal Rumble. Alright, now that I've told you everything that happened during the match, I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit and review it here. I think overall this 1997 Royal Rumble is a snooze fest. Most of this is boring, but there were good moments, and it's good storytelling because it shows like the slow build-up of Stone Cold Steve Austin and the badass that he would become. It was just boring because there was so much of he's just the only one there, kind of like Brock Lesnar last year for the first half of the Royal Rumble, where it was just blah, right? It happens a lot here, but I will say after The Undertaker comes out at 30, this match gets pretty good. There's quite a few people in the ring at that point, and I think that's one of the longest I've seen the end of the Royal Rumble happen. But then the final like 5 guys are all eliminated in like 30 seconds, and it's just kind of like bang, 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 and everything happens. And so, combine it with the slow start, but with the good storytelling and the good end, I would have to say it's probably a very mediocre Royal Rumble. Not the worst, definitely not the best. But these matches are never terribly boring because like there's so many people, so they're always still at least entertaining to watch. I give it a 5 out of 10 for this Rumble. So we'll have to see what Jeff has to say, but that's what I give this now. Your 1997 Royal Rumble match.